We are talking about interpretation of Dr. Israr and others conservative scholars or mullahs who have been dominating Muslim world for more than 1000 years now. And during the first part, I described the debate, uh, rotating around the very definition of scholars, with some people arguing that those who have graduated from religious seminaries, completing their Darsin Nizami, in fact, they deserve to be called scholars. And there have been people in Islamic world who believe that in reality, Muslim scientists, philosophers, researchers who happen to be somewhere between 723 and even before that, up to 13th century, 14th century, in some cases even 16th century. So during the last part, we talk about the dilemma of Muslim world that did not understand the very definition of scholars, according to some critics, and then we witness bizarre precedents in Islamic history or in the history of Muslim countries, with the mullah issuing fatwa against printing press, against scientific invention like loudspeaker, radio, television, and ultrasound, and so on and so forth. So, if we want to understand where this interpretation is coming from, like people like Dr. Israr Ahmed, what are the historical sources, what are the historical basis of this interpretation, then we need to dip down in a bit history. So the first person against whom perhaps or rather the first prominent person against whom fatwas were issued for using his analogical reason was Imam Azam Abu Hanifa. He was accused of believing in the creation of the Holy Quran. And when people say creation of Holy Quran, that does not mean that it was created by any man, but in reality, there were Muslim rationalists in 8th century who believed that everything was created by God, including the Holy Quran. Since God is the creator of everything, so He created everything, including the Holy Quran. So that was one of the arguments. And during the 8th century, there was a Muslim rationalist school of thought that is known as Mausalites. They did not believe in the attributes of God, and they would interpret it in a different way, arguing that if the Holy Quran says, or if the Holy Quran talks about God eyes or God hands, that should be taken figuratively. It means that God does not have physically eyes, because eyes, having hands, these are attributes of human beings, and naturally God is not like human being. So when the Holy Quran talks about eyesight of God, or God is seeing everything, they would argue that it could mean the wisdom and sagacity of God. In the same way, if um, at some places in the Holy Quran, if God is shown as sitting like a king, so it might mean that God is omnipresent, He is present everywhere. Then another argument surrounding this debate was about predestination or predeterminism, that everything has been determined. With traditionalists like Imam Hanbal, Ghazali, Abul Hasan Ashari, and other people, they believed that everything has already been decided, everything is predetermined. So in a way, they would deny that man had any free will, while the rationalist would argue that God likes justice, and it is not justice at all that you are punishing someone if he doesn't have a free will. So man does have free will, he uses his free will, and that's why he would be accounted for. If he has done good things, he would be rewarded. If he hasn't done good things, then he won't be rewarded. So if a person doesn't have free will, then how can he be punished? So God has given free will, as well as He has gifted mankind with reason and with intelligence, with intellect. So He is supposed to use reason, his own intelligence, making decision on the basis of that. And naturally, if those decisions result in good action or bad actions, then he would be rewarded accordingly. While Imam Hanbal and all these scholars, uh, Malik, Shafi'i, and later on Abul Hasan Ashari, Imam Ghazali, Ibn Taymiyyah, they all believed in predestination of human being or predeterminism, that everything has already been determined. Another controversy surrounded around the definition of of fasik. So rationalists believe that somebody who has committed grave sin, he is fasik, while Kharji would believe that he is outside Islam, or he is a heretic, he is not Muslim at all. Marjai, another group, would believe that he would be punished for his sin, but that he is not Muslim. So rationalists would believe in the uniqueness of God, and they said that if Quran is eternal and God is eternal, as traditionalists like Imam Hanbal, Abul Hasan Ashari, and other people believed, or believed to have this thought, then rationalists argued that you are sharing the Holy Quran and the authority of God, because it's only God that can be considered eternal. Nothing is eternal, but God is eternal. Another point was that you can understand religion, or you can interpret religion with the help of your reason. And they would cite, from the Holy Quran. Sorry, one more point about free will is the rationalist would cite verses from the Holy Quran that more or less say that man gets for whatever thing he struggles. So, and in the same way that there are certain verses which in a way say that you just need to let people know, and they themselves can decide what is right and what is wrong, and then they will be held responsible for that. On the other hand, traditionalists would say, no, the world is a sort of examination center where God is testing you, and everything has been decided. And Imam Ghazali believed that you cannot interpret religion in a rational way. You cannot apply logic. It was perhaps because of that when the Imam Azam Abu Hanifa applied analogical reasoning. So the son of Imam Hanbal, Abdullah bin Hanbal, he wrote Kitabul Sunnah, and he denigrated Imam Azam Abu Hanifa. He and Imam Bukhari, Hanbal, Malik, and other traditionalists, they declared him a sort of infidel, Zindiq, heretic. These all, some of these traditionalists described him as an incurable diseases, as an incurable disease, and wow, some of them said that he was the greatest damage that has ever done to Islam. And Imam Hanbal was quoted as saying that if you have something from Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, and if you have a weaker tradition or weak tradition, then you rather should follow a weak tradition of or hadith, instead of following the saying of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa. So Abu Hanifa, when he used logic or analogical reasoning, he was also declared heretic or infidel, and he was really given tough time by these traditionalist mullah. So Ghazali, about the determinism or predestination, uh, or what some people might call fatalism, right? So they were in a way fatalist, and Ghazali cited an example that a child dies, and so does an old man, and an old man or matured man is sent in heaven by God, and the child asks God, why has he been sent to heaven, and why I wasn't sent? And then God told him that he knew that the child would grow up to be a sinner. That's why he died before he could become an adult. So the child complained that you should have let me live so that I could have also done good works. So things like that, according to Ghazali, could not be understood or rationalized, or could not be comprehended by using reason. He thought that religious matters were beyond reason, they were beyond rationality, while rationalists believed that you could understand religion. In fact, religion through reason. In fact, reason and logic can help you understand God and religion both. And you can even prove the existence of God through logic and reasoning. And it was perhaps one of the reasons as to why these rationalists would argue with the followers of Manichaeism and Christianity in their own time, in early decades when they surfaced. And unfortunately, they themselves declared their opponents, in a way. They issued different things, different sort of fatwas, or harsh statements against them. And later on, these rationalists had to face the same problem. So this rationalist, it's not that traditionalists have always been dominant. There have been times when Muslim rationalists started dominating intellectual landscape in Muslim world, which was not confined to Baghdad or Damascus or some particular areas. In reality, you see that wherever there has been a rationalist movement, it might have started in one region, but it had its impacts in other parts of the world. For instance, Martin Luther started his movement in Germany, but it resonated, all over the Christian world. Before him, John Hus and other people, they were in other parts of the world, they were persecuted, but their rationalist thoughts somehow found way in the different parts of Europe and different parts of Christian world. So there was a time when these Muslim thinkers, dominant figures, rationalists, they were dominant, and they were interpreting religion in a rational way. But afterwards, somewhere in the you know ninth century, opposition started in ninth century, and of course, within a few decades. Their influence dwindled during the time of Abbasid. Three caliph at least supported these rationalists, and of course, these caliph also committed atrocities. They tried to use force to impose these rationalist thought, which naturally no man with modicum of common sense approve of. But when these traditionalists got power, they also started persecuting rationalists. So if you look at most of the Muslim scientists and philosophers, they had terrible time, from Avicenna or Ibn Sina to Averroes in Al Andalusia. So this is part two, and we shall continue with part three.